All right, y'all. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, whenever you're tuning in. I'm grateful to have you here. And we got former Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke and Don Lemonhead back in the building. This is an older clip of them discussing police shootings, but it's new to me, so hopefully it's a doozy. Shout out to my man JP over on Patreon for sending this my way. Stay till the end if you want to hear my input and perspective. Let's get it popping.
Here live in Cleveland. You're set to speak tomorrow night. And again, all I want to do is have a conversation. I can't have a conversation with you if we're both talking at the same time. What it sounds like to me is that you're accusing me of violence and supporting a narrative that I'm not necessarily in support of. And if that's what you're accusing me of violence, then you can leave. That's not true. I don't support violence of any type against police officers, against anyone. So if you're accusing me of that, then you're welcome to leave. But if you
just take a peep at David's facial expression right now, just cool, calm, composed. He looks at him like, hey, I'm not here for games, young man. I've been through it. Like, I serve this country proudly, and we appreciate it. I appreciate it. He's like, Don, I don't got time for your nonsense today, man. So you better give it to me straight.
Want to have a conversation? I am more than willing to welcome a conversation with you. I don't disagree with you about there is a narrative across the country that could be harming police officers, but we don't know right now, as someone who's in law enforcement, if that was the actual cause of it. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do we know that generally the American law enforcement officers are racist? Do we know this?
Go on.
I asked a question.
Do I know American general law enforcement are racist? I don't think anyone is accusing. If you're insinuating that people are accusing or saying that law enforcement across this country as a whole are racist, then your assumption is wrong.
First of all, this whole anti-police rhetoric is based on a lie. There is no data, and you know this. There is no data, there is no research that proves any of that nonsense. None. Even
Amen.
You'd have to be more specific about what data and what nonsense you're talking about.
That law enforcement officers treat black males different than white males in policing in these urban centers.
There is data that supports
There is not data.
No. The president spoke about it. Cedric Alexander, who is a law enforcement officer.
The president has been lying about it. He said it again the other day when he said black males are 2 times more likely to be shot by a law enforcement officer than white males. Don, that is a lie.
That is not a lie.
It is a lie.
Yes,
Show me.
The research that we have from the Washington Post. That
the Washington Post debunked that nonsense.
There's also research.
He also said this time.
There's also research.
He continues.
A Harvard professor that also showed that black people are treated more aggressively by police officers.
No, you are wrong
people.
in your interpretation of that Harvard study, because I read the study. That's not what he said. He said he was surprised to find
that in shootings of the most severe in shootings, that he found no evidence that there was a difference. Also, it should be noted that study was a very small sampling of police departments across the country. Many people did not find it credible, but it is also interesting that in that research, he found that blacks were treated differently when it came to aggressive policing, but for the most egregious shootings, he found no difference. That's what that study showed.
Well, based on what? Just generally? Are we talking about high crime areas? Are we talking about police officers being under attack? Because let's go back to where this whole thing started in Ferguson, Missouri. The lie was hands up, don't shoot.
You're lumping a whole bunch of things into one. If we can do one specific
That's
thing,
where this whole phony movement started. It started out as hands up, don't shoot.
You're talking about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to, you would need to speak to someone who is a member of Black Lives Matter about whether they have perpetrated a fraud on the American people. That's up to Black Lives Matter. That's not me. I'm neither a member of Black Lives Matter, I'm neither a supporter or someone who doesn't support them. I simply report on Black Lives Matter.
Do you condemn the anti-police rhetoric coming from this hateful ideology?
As a journalist sitting here on television, I don't have to condemn anything. That is something that you should ask. Other people around the country,
I condemn
their jobs to condemn
just
that.
like I condemn the hateful ideology out of groups like the KKK. All right? I condemn it. There is no place in American discourse for that sort of vile, vitriolic hate coming out of this ideology. This has fueled and fanned the flames of this anger toward the American police officer. There's only one group in America, one time, that truly cares about the lives of black people in these urban ghettos. And it's the American police officer who goes down there on a daily basis, puts their life on the line to protect who? Black people. So when you say we just want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation about the black on black crime, which kills more black males, which is more of a threat to any black male in the United States than a law enforcement officer.
Sheriff. Yes, that's a different conversation.
How is that a different conversation? And Don, when he said that he's a journalist and he doesn't have to condemn anybody, he just reports the facts. Don, anytime I've ever seen you on TV or checked out a clip of you, you ain't never reported on the real life facts, brother. For real. You have never reported on real life facts. You've always painted this narrative and directed people toward this false reality, this victimhood. And that's just not the case at all. Do you ever take a deep dive and an examination of why police get aggressive with African-American folks? Do you ever take a deep dive and wonder, like, hey, maybe they were resisting arrest, which usually happens. Maybe they didn't just pull out their wallet and show them the ID and had proper manners and a discourse so they can go on about their day. Maybe they had an attitude. They got a little frisky. They for whatever reason were testing the officer, and the officer is just another human being that probably has a family just like you. So they're just trying to go through, clock in and go about their day, then go home, eat and spend time with their loved ones. But when you escalate the situation, when you refuse to hand them your ID, you start running and fleeing and potentially whipping out a weapon. They don't know what you're reaching in that dash for, reaching in your pocket for. They don't know what's in your pants, why they're sagging, other than, you think that's a fashion trend. You got to take all things into consideration before you make a judgment and leap to the conclusion that people are just out there hunting black people, specifically police officers. Blue lives matter just as much as black lives, white lives, all lives. So stop painting this rhetoric, Don Lemonhead, and all this nonsense right here. Man, go spill that stuff to your husband, because I don't get down with how you roll behind closed doors, let alone when you're out here in public. People look up to you on controversial news network, fake news, and that you keep misleading them. It's evil, and you keep promoting this dishonesty. At the end of the day, truth is hard to take when you're a fake person. And when it comes to anybody I've ever seen on CNN, I may be wrong, they always paint this false ideology. They always tell people that they're a victim, that they're held down. But a lot of these news reporters and anchors, they're hosts themselves. They're black and they made it there. So why don't you start elevating society, telling them how you can actually make a way in this world and how you can be responsible and get up day in and day out and grind, and nobody's just going to hand you anything. Why don't you start showing that narrative instead of telling people that based on how they look, how they were born, which was out of their control, everybody's out to get them and you have no chance at all to make it in this world? It's messed up and it's really degrading, and it's not allowing society to enhance in all fields. No matter what neighborhood you're in, no matter if you have a two-parent household, single mother, whatever it is, you can make a way. Your cards may be different than mine. My cards may be different than yours, but there's avenues and outlets that you can take to get to whatever level it is that you want to attain and reach as far as success is concerned. Nobody's out there holding the black community down. We've had a partially black president. We got black athletes making ungodly amounts of money. We got black folks in every area that you would deem successful, and nobody's telling them that they can't do it. They're telling you that you can't do it, but that's because they're selfish, they're arrogant, and they're evil with their wicked ways, and it's messed up out here in the streets. But at the end of the day, you have to do what you know is right. You have to do your job, and that's what officers are do. They're there to keep the streets safe. And yeah, there may be bad cops. There's bad in every realm of society, but you have to isolate those situations where an officer goes off the rails and goes overly aggressive. That's not the narrative across the board. All officers aren't bad, not even close. 99.999% of police officers are there to serve, there to represent America in the best ways possible that our founding fathers based our nation on, godly values and principles, just to keep you and I safe. And we take that for granted every single day, and we start painting them as the evil perpetrators when that's not the case at all. If you don't put yourself in a situation to get arrested, to escalate a situation that could just be a routine traffic stop, it wouldn't go to that next level. There wouldn't be these shootings happening with police and these duking it out and all that nonsense. You could just go home, mind your business, pay your ticket, go to court, whatever it may be, but you're still going to have your life. Don't escalate the situation. Don't put yourself in that circumstance at all to where it could get violent. God bless this man, David Clarke, and all police officers out there fighting the good fight, standing for our country. And this is the home of the free because of the brave. That goes for the armed forces, for law enforcement, for firefighters, healthcare workers, all of that. Anybody serving this country, trying to enhance it and keep it as a beautiful nation and lifting it up, y'all got my utmost respect and love and support. And he was looking at Don like, boy, I'm about to whoop your butt if you keep dishing out this nonsense. If you keep saying that there's all this data based on a Harvard professor, which is one of the most liberal schools out there, designed to promote this hate-filled just foolishness. If you keep telling me all this data is there without showing me, we're going to have some issues. And I love how composed and respectable he stayed. Even just having to look at Don Lemon, it makes me cringe. The truth will always come out and the truth shall set you free. And Don Lemon or any of these news anchors promoting evil and promoting fake nonsense that isn't actually going on in society, it's always going to come out and unveil it behind the curtain at some point. So you keep serving this country, you keep serving your family and doing what you know is right, being a good, godly man or woman, or just being a good person in general, whether you look to God or not. I encourage you to, because that's the only way to salvation. But hey, I digress. You're going to do what you're going to do. If you like these sort of videos, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all future videos and get notified. Share this video, whether this is your first time seeing this or not, just to put it in front of somebody else and allow them to think for themselves. You got some value, some entertainment, whatever it is, share this and get this out in the public. If you want to support the channel even further, you can get you some awesome Christian merch made by my lovely wife on her Etsy store. It's always linked in the description, and I usually link it in the pinned comment as well. By no means do you have to, but we do appreciate it if y'all go buy you some, or a ton of different options, hoodies, tees, bleach, no bleach, run of different sizes for the little petite or the big folks out there. We don't discriminate whatsoever. So go show some love on her Etsy store. Outside of that, all my other links are in the description section. You can buy me a coffee, join the Patreon family, and you just keep tuning in and looking at my freckle face take over your screen and rant about a wide variety of topics. It don't matter. I'll touch on any of them, and I'll give my godly perspective at the same time. Cancel me or don't, I'm still going to be here sharing the gospel and spreading the good news. But until next time, I love y'all. I'm praying for you. Godspeed. I'm gone.